It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the world famous Dep Lewis Show, episode 35. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, June 4th, 2023. Welcome to the show, the 35th installment of the great, of the epic, of the entertaining, informative podcast, the Dep Lewis Show. So welcome. Hope you've been doing good out there, loyal listeners, since last week, since we talked. Hope you played a lot of games. Hope you watched some sports. Hope you've seen some good podcasts. And I hope you listened to this show. Hopefully you listened to some old episodes if you're not caught up, or hopefully you listened last week. And I hope you're supporting the Dep Lewis Show in every way that you can. And if you want to support it even more, here are the steps to do that. Follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review, turn on notifications, and tell a friend. Email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. That email box is open 24/7, 365. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Patreon, and more on my Buzzsprout page. The Buzzsprout page is a perfect hub for you to find the perfect place to listen to the Dep Lewis Show weekly. Clips of the show are on YouTube and TikTok. You can see some gameplay footage along with audio from the podcast to really show off these games I'm talking about, and also get some other people hooked in to the weekly podcast where they're coming here listening every week, checking that feed, refreshing it, saying, when's the new episode dropping? It's usually on Sunday, a little before lunchtime Eastern time. So that's how it's going. It's actually going to be a little bit later today, but that is okay. So let's see. Let's talk about the show structure for today. So in the first section, we're going to talk about what I've been playing. There's one game dominating that section pretty much, but I've also purchased a new game, and I purchased two new games, and I've played one a little bit, but I'm mainly playing that first game we're going to talk about. And then in the mid section, the what I've been seeing section, we talk about what I've been seeing across the video game landscape and the video game news, things like that, releases. So this week we're going to do some history on a game. There has been a hardware announcement of some kind. We're going to talk about a patch, the new season, and then we're just going to talk about something in general in this midsection. Talk about how great the summer is going for video games. In the final section of today's show is the miscellaneous talk of today's show. The miscellaneous talk section, we are going to talk some miscellaneous talk. We're going to start with some book talk, and then we're going to get into some comedy talk, and then we're going to finish off with the worldwide world of sports. We're going to talk about the official teams of the Dep Lewis Show. I actually went and watched the new team in person this week, so we're going to talk about that in this section too. So it is going to be a great show here on the Dep Lewis Show, episode 35. 35 episodes is a lot of episodes, and I am glad to bring you this one. So welcome to the show. Hope you've been doing a lot of video gaming, and hope your week's been really good. That's all I got to say about that. All right, so let's talk about some notes from last show. I think the only thing I want to bring up is I was talking about Mike Soroka on the Atlanta Braves, whether or not he was going to get scratched from his start in Gwinnett. I was saying his start was Saturday, but it was actually Sunday, and he actually did get scratched from that start. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the sports section, but let's see here. Oh yeah, okay, and then last week too, the Braves also had a night game versus Phillies this past Sunday, and I definitely said it was a lunchtime game, so that was another correction. So I was just messing up a little bit on my sports talk and my Atlanta Braves talk, so I just wanted to correct that a little bit here at the beginning of the show. But we're going to talk some more Atlanta Braves in the third section, the miscellaneous talk section of the show. So let's get it started. All right, so what I've been playing this week. The main game I've been playing this week, and I think it's safe to say it is the 2023 Dep Lewis Show video game of the year right now on the running list, and that is The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. The 5/12/2023 release for $69.99 on the Nintendo Switch, the first Nintendo Switch game to have the price hike. So get your extra $10 out if you want to go cop this. And I am having the utmost fun with this game. I can't believe it. It has everything you want in a video game. It's got a little bit of story. It's got a fun, crazy open world with crazy physics, mechanics, and all sorts of stuff you can do. Endless possibilities of things you can do and ways you can tackle it. It's got fun controls. Cool armor, cool weapons. The fusing stuff's awesome, and you can just explore around. You can take pictures. You can do your Hyrule Compendium. You can hunt. You can collect items. You can mainline the story. You can just do side quests. You can do whatever the hell you want in this game. And I've been telling my friends, when they're asking for progress, I'm like, hey, I've been Morrowinding around a lot, so Elder Scrolls Morrowind was one of the earlier games I played that I was really, really into. And in that game, I barely ever did the story. I'd start a file and just try to, collect resources through the world and travel around and just kind of play with the world, basically, instead of just doing the main story. So that's what I've been doing some here in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and that's been really fun. So this game, you can do anything you want in this game, and you're having fun with it. So that is the coolest part about it, and I think why it is at the top of the list right now for the Dep Lewis Show for Game of the Year for 2023. Way to go, Zelda. You're doing great things. So, excuse me, let's talk about where I'm at in the game a little bit, what I've been doing since last week, and I'll give you some overall tips for Zelda. So, let's see. At this point, I'm around 30. I just hit over 30 hours on the Nintendo Switch time calculator thing, so I'm somewhere between 30 and 35 hours. I've completed 29 shrines. I think I was somewhere in the high 20s last week, so I've slowed down on my shrines this week, but I've been doing a lot of other things in this game, so that's been very fun. So I've still been making progress. I've been playing this game every day for a little bit, and that's not going to stop for a while, I don't think. So let's talk about this. So last week I was trying to get to the Wind Temple. I kept falling from the sky, and it was funny that, if you're falling from these sky towers and stuff like that, you could just glide down to the bottom, but I'm trying to stay up here and complete these missions, so I just let Link fall and crash and then die, and then I lose some hearts and continue on. But it is pretty cool how, you technically wouldn't have to die. You could just easily glide down to the ground and you could be back, in the world doing stuff. So that's just a pretty cool mechanic from this game. And let's see, I love the trampolines and the ice. So this is all about getting up to the Wind Temple. So you go find your homie Dillon past Rito Village, and you're trying to get up there, and there's these trampolines you can jump on to help you get up really high. And as someone who's afraid of heights, this part was messing with me a little bit, but it was very fun. And I really can't believe it was this fun to control in this section. Like, I'm a little bit scared of these dungeons and sections like this, but this whole section was nothing but fun, and it was fun to control and throw Link around and jump him in the air and glide him around, and nothing but fun. So I don't know why I was worried about this or scared or intimidated. It was awesome. And it's a very fun way to travel around. They have those trampolines, and then they also have like ice layers you can crash through. So as long as you jump on the ice hard enough, you can crash down and sometimes get to a trampoline and bounce back up again. So you're looking for opportunities to crash some ice, so that's very cool. And let's see, so Rito Village is a cold area. Apparently you only need 2 items with cold resistance. So if you find those greaves earlier on in the game, which I did, I found some cold resistant greaves. You only really need to buy 1 item from the shop here in Rito Village to continue. I believe that's true. It'd be nice to have the whole set at some point. I want to buy all these armor pieces because they look really cool, but I ended up buying the chest piece and the head piece to go along with my leg piece that I already had, so I was fully covered on my cold resistance. But I think one of my friends told me you only needed to buy 1 more piece, so you only need 2 out of the 3 possibly to complete this section, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in the next section too. So if you want to find those greaves, if you find those greaves early on in the game, that's really good. So actually, let's talk about this. So you get here. There's actually a shrine called Raru's Blessing. I think there's a few more of those. And it's basically a free shrine, so I just want to shout out Raru. I think you're one of my favorite characters in this game. You're up there with Dillon right now for me. And let's see, my notes are a little jumbled here, so that's the problem. Kogera was the wind boss. That was so much fun. So when you get through the Wind Temple and to the top and all that kind of stuff, you fight this boss named Kogera. And you basically want to hit his underside. There's glass undersides where you can hit him with arrows, and you want to hit it 3 times. Or you could throw a bomb arrow or something more drastic at it, but I was just shooting arrows at him basically. So you want to make sure you have a lot of arrows for this section. You're going to jump up in the air, and you're going to try to get under him to shoot him. So you're dodging, you are trying to get position, and then you are shooting to complete this mission. And it was very fun. I defeated Kogera. It was a giant boss. It made me feel badass, made me feel strong, made me feel like a true swordsman. And it was very fun. So let's see here. So we kicked Kogera's ass and shoot the bunnies. I said fight the Demon King with the swordsman. Link, go Dillon. I don't know what's up with that Demon King, but let's just keep talking about this. So I was just talking in general. My favorite items to fuse were flower bombs and Keese eyeballs. I'm running low on a little bit of those, each of those, so that's tough. I run low on flower bombs a lot, so I'm using those strategically. I also like the I think it's called the fire fruit. I use those in replacement when I really want to mess up an enemy. And let's see here. So I completed the Wind Temple. After I did that, I was like, man, I'm really crushing this story. I want to go continue. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the northeast section, which is the Goron City. So that is the hot spot. And I actually made it to there, but I made it there. I started going through it a little bit and then really got sidetracked and started Morrowinding again. So I'm back currently Morrowinding, but I did do a little bit of Goron City stuff. And let's see, I was saying for the Goron section, I think you only need to buy one fire-resistant item. I think the tunic is the cheapest, so that may be the best way to go if you're short on rupees. Just to buy the chest piece, because I think that allows you to get through these sections in the Goron City. But I have moved on from Goron City. I didn't complete it, and I just skipped out, started finding other things. I got sidetracked, and let's see. But on my way to the Goron City, I got the Bokoblin mask. It was pretty cool. It reminds me of Majora's Mask. I haven't actually used the Bokoblin mask yet, but I will at some point. The marbled rock roast is all the rage in Goron City, so that's the main export, it seems like, of Goron City is this marbled rock roast. It's all the rage. It has the even the workers slacking at their job. They just want to eat and smell this marbled rock roast. So the mission in Goron City is a little bit revolved around that. Yeah, I say I kind of got sidetracked on the Goron mission. I headed south. I used a wing and some fans to fly really far down there, and I'm sort of close to Hateno City from the first game. So I was kind of wanting to get to that, and I looked it up on a map, and using that big glider really helped me cover some ground. So I'm out there completing shrines and just doing things along the way. I'm trying to get down there to Hateno City. I also want to find Kakariko Village, but that'll be another mission for another day. And let's see, anything else? President Hudson, he's all over. I'm still enjoying putting those signs up. If you see the glowing bunnies in the world, shoot them with an arrow and they'll give you some rupees. You want to shoot him multiple times, it'll keep dropping rupees till he vanishes. So shoot that little bunny up. And that might be it for my Legend of Zelda updates. I'm really just doing some Morrowinding right now. Possibly next week I will maybe travel back to the Goron City and complete some of that stuff. But for now I'm just trying to get the towers. I'm trying to complete some shrines and then complete any little side objectives on the way. I have a pretty good stash of actual side missions in my adventure log to work on at some point. So this game has endless opportunities for fun stuff. Seems like you can log on at any time and just kind of do whatever you want. So it's been pretty fun. I have a lot of friends that are playing this game, so that's been very enjoyable too. Get to hear their updates. One of my friends is up around the 60 or 70 shrine region, so they're a little bit ahead of me. The Great Ballness is playing this game, but he's been very busy, so he's a little behind where I'm at in this point. So that is fun to talk to him too as he's going through it. So this game's really cool. It's great for a friend group. It's great to talk to people about. And as I'm playing this, you're learning that people are doing all sorts of different things in it. Even my friends with 60 shrines or whatever it may be haven't seen some of the stuff I've seen, and I obviously haven't seen some of the stuff they've seen. So it's a great comparison thing to talk about, and talk about what you're seeing and how you're doing it and where you went first and how you got there and all that kind of stuff. So just shout out to that. It's not often nowadays in my life that all my friends are playing the same game anymore, especially not like a new release. Sometimes we would jump on and get on Fortnite or something like that, but for everyone, for everyone in my friend group to go buy a video game at the same time is not common anymore these days. So it's pretty cool thing to have with this. And even if I'm trailing behind, I don't mind the spoiler stuff too much, and I actually think it's pretty interesting and helpful to get some information from them. So it's been really cool. And shout out to Zelda for doing that. It brings in the my friends are played tons of video games in their life, but they're more casual at this point, I would say. And I know a lot of people in the world are too. So it's bringing in the more casual audience, bringing in more of the people that haven't played games in a while and that just love Zelda. It gets them to come back. And some of these people even put in more hours than normal gamers. So a couple of my friends that have bought this game, I really can't believe how many hours they put into it already. It's like, how are they finding the time to do this? But it's just because the game is so good and the series holds so much cachet with a lot of people that you'll make time to play it. So The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I have no complaints. It's been so much fun, and it continues to be so much fun, and it probably will for a long time. So this first section of the show is going to be The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom heavy for a little while, and that is a good thing. So shout out Rauru, shout out Tulin, shout out Link, shout out Zelda, shout out everybody in Hyrule. And we will talk some more about this next week. That is for damn sure. All right, another big release that came out this week is Street Fighter 6. It came out June 2nd, so that was Friday, 2023. I purchased this on PlayStation 5 for $59.99. And, this game's available everywhere. I'm starting off with a tutorial and training mainly. I heard that's the best place to go. I think that's normally what I do anyways, but I heard Jason A. Stryker on the MinMax show this week. He was guesting, and he's he's the king of the fighters out there. He loves the fighting games, and he said that's what he does normally when he starts in these games. So that's what I'm going to do too, especially with not having used my fight stick for a while. So I busted out my fight stick. I've also been using the controller some just to try it out. I've really been trying to go back and forth between doing the modern controls versus the classic. The modern controls are a little more simplistic, but I'm a little more used to the classic controls, so I don't know what's best to do. I kind of think the way I kind of think about this is, but I could be wrong, is you would want to end up working towards the classic controls because I think it gives you more options. So the question is, am I advanced enough to even be using the classic controls at this point? I don't know. I think that's the thing to be determined. But I also don't know if I want to learn these characters on the modern controls and then switch to classic. That seems confusing. So I just don't know what to do. And I also don't know how it handles that in the matchmaking. Are you able to battle modern controls versus classic controls? I kind of doubt it, but maybe you can. I don't know. So things I want to figure out, but I'm still in the early stages of my street fighting. I haven't actually played too much of it since I've been playing Zelda. I basically just downloaded it, played it some, but I still, I'm booting up Zelda to play that some too. But Street Fighter 6 is something I want to really, really get into. And my favorite part about the Street Fightering is just battling people online. So my plan here is to somehow just, randomize the characters I'm selecting when I'm battling people online until I can eventually dial it down to some characters I like and I'm good with, and maybe do different things so I can have some strategy. When I played Street Fighter 4, I mainly used Ryu. And I actually ended up, getting pretty good with him, so I could fall back on that a little bit. But, I want to expand my Street Fighter knowledge, so that is the plan for me with this game. This game has a character creator that's pretty crazy, so I tried to make the guy look like me somewhat. I don't know how successful that was. I didn't spend too much time tweaking things, but it seems like there's a lot of options in there. It animates your character in the game and the cutscenes and stuff, so it seems like you can make some pretty horrifying creations here of characters and options, but it's pretty cool. It has that much in there, and then you can actually take this character and fight with them. But I don't know how much I'll be diving into that. It kind of reminds me of the modes like in MLB The Show and Madden, where you take your character and you go through the minors and you fight these guys and you build them up. I'm not always into that. I kind of like the just playing the regular roster more. And there's going to be a lot of characters added to this game, so I'm going to be checking for that. And there's going to be a lot of Street Fighter 6 talk on this podcast in the future. So hopefully this week I'll get into some games, start hitting the online matches and the online tournaments and things like that, and kicking some ass and hopefully getting some wins. And I will report back to you with all of my Street Fighter 6 knowledge in the future. But I just wanted to let you know that I purchased that game this week. It was an auto purchase for me. I had a little bit of discussion with myself on where to buy it, and I think I've kind of switched back and forth on this sometimes, but I think I'm in a primary PlayStation mode for buying games. I want to buy most of my games on my PlayStation. And then obviously I'm going to buy console exclusives on the Switch or the Xbox when necessary, but I'm going to try to start leaning towards, if a game's available on PlayStation, that's where I'm going to buy it. As our digital future moves forward, I'd like to have most of my games in one kind of digital collection for availability. And I go back and forth too many times on the consoles, so I kind of need to pick. And this is my chance at doing that again, so we will see. And I will keep you abreast of my game purchasing situation, since that's pretty much a big part of this show here is me talking about my video game habits. So, all right, let's talk about another game. This game is just something I want to mention I purchased. I have not booted it up to play yet, but I bought Humanity on PlayStation 5. It's $29.99. I just went ahead and purchased it while I was buying Street Fighter, and it looks cool. It's made by the creators, or some of the creators of Tetris Effect Connected. You play a dog in this game that's leading around the hordes of people, the masses of people, and it's kind of a puzzly game, and it looks really cool, so it's something I want to get into. It's just going to have to sit on the back burner for a little bit while this massive game called The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is in my rotation. And now Street Fighter 6, which is another game I've been waiting for a long time. So I say this a lot, but it's a great time to be a video gamer, and just very excited about it. So That's going to wrap up this first section of the show. We talked about what I've been playing, which is mainly The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I've purchased Street Fighter 6 on PlayStation, and I've played a little bit of that. Then I've also purchased Humanity on PlayStation, but I haven't booted that up yet to try it. So I'll be talking about that in a future episode. So that is everything for the What I've Been Playing section. We're going to take a quick break, first break of this show, and then we're going to come back and talk about the What I've Been Seeing section. So what I've been seeing around the video game landscape. So we're going to do a little bit of history on the game. There is a hardware announcement, there is a patch, there is a new season, and then we're just going to talk about the summer in general. That's the plan for the mid section. So go get your mid ready, roll it up, pack it in a bowl, do whatever you need to do with your mid, and bring it back for this section after this music in just a bit. Welcome back to the mid section of the best show you'll ever know, the Dep Lewis Show. This is episode 35, the 35th installment, and this is the mid section. This is where we smoke on some mid. This is where we talk about what I've been seeing across the video game landscape. So let's get into it. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about is a game called Marathon by Bungie, the very famous developer. This new Marathon game was announced during the PlayStation Showcase. I believe it was last week, so we're going to talk about this game a little bit and a little bit of the history of it, so I can know more about it going into the release. I don't know if it's something necessarily that I'm going to purchase, but it's definitely something that looks interesting and something I want to track as it's coming out and track the reception and things like that. So, Marathon by Bungie. It's a first-person shooter developed and published by Bungie. Oh, can you imagine that? And it was released on December 21st, 1994 for the Apple Macintosh. The Marathon trilogy is a science fiction first-person shooter, and the name of the series is derived from the giant interstellar colony ship that provides the main setting for the first game. The ship is constructed out of the Martian moon Deimos. I believe is how you say that. I don't know, but typing this up, the main setting for the game is an interstellar colony ship. It reminds me a little bit of Dead Space, and obviously this came out before Dead Space. Obviously, ships are probably pretty common in science fiction, but I think that is, Dead Space had to take a little bit of something from sauce from this game in some way. This is a trilogy. I don't know how popular it was. I was a little bit too young to be in real time knowing how big of a thing this was, but it had to have some major influence. They're bringing it back, 30 years later or whatever it is. So this must have been a pretty big deal back in the day. I also thought it was interesting. There was 3 of these games released, and they were released in pretty quick order. Marathon 1 was 1994, Marathon 2 was 95, and Marathon 3 was 96. So this was a 3-year span of 3 releases, I guess, that were pretty popular. These are single player and multiplayer games. And then talking about the new Marathon game, it'll release on PS5, Windows, and Xbox Series X and S, and will support cross-play and cross-save between these platforms. So this game sounds like it could have a little bit of Halo in it could have a little Alien in it, have a little Dead Space in it, and it could be it seems like a precursor to some of those as well. So it could be cool. I don't know if I'm sold on the PvP aspect of this game. I don't know if there's any PvE or story stuff, but I would definitely be checking into this. I think them reviving a historic franchise and having a great developer like Bungie, it's definitely worth checking into. So I will definitely be keeping you aware of what's going on with this game, and just wanted to provide a little bit of context around what that game is and what it's about. And it seems cool. It seems like something that I would want to play, so we will see. All right. Another announcement. Well, an announcement this week is something from Mr. Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. The MetaQuest VR 3 has been announced. MetaQuest 3 is the next generation of virtual and mixed reality headset, and it will ship this fall of 2023. MetaQuest 3 features higher resolution, stronger performance, breakthrough meta reality technology, and a slimmer, more comfortable headset. Let's see. Quest 3 will ship in all countries where MetaQuest is currently supported this fall. The 128GB headset starts at $499.99 US dollars, and they'll offer an additional storage option for those who want some extra space. Mark your calendars, because they will have a lot more to share at MetaConnect, which returns this year on September 27, 2023, so you can get some more details there. Quest 3 is the supercharged all-in-one headset you've been waiting for, according to them. No wires required. So, another entry into the VR space. I don't know too many details about this MetaQuest. I don't know necessarily if I was going to purchase VR, which one I would purchase, but this is a big release. It's a big, new piece of hardware, $500 for it, and it'll be interesting to hear what they got to say. I think with these things, some people don't want to wear a headset, maybe including myself, and then, they might not want to play the games that are available on these VR headsets, and that I might fall into that category as well. So, but it is something I'm interested in. It is something that's successful, and these people keep making headsets, keep trying it out, so they must see some great plan in the making here for these things. But also starting June 4th, 2023, so that started today when I'm recording this podcast on Sunday in real time. The Meta folks are lowering the price of Quest 2 to $299.99 US dollars for the 128 gigabyte SKU to help even more people access the magic of VR. So I think that's pretty cool. I like the price decrease before the release of new hardware, especially with something that is, they're trying to get more widely adopted here with these VR stuff. I'm sure they'd like it to have more wide-ranging appeal than it currently does. I think that's part of the problem with it. So I think them lowering the price, the point of entry for these prices is helpful. And, the argument would be if there's a great catalog of games on this already, you could go play them. So there might be, it's just something I'm not completely knowledgeable about. So go do your homework on that if you want to do it. But I wanted to at least let you know that this MetaQuest VR3 has been announced. And you can look for it this fall if you got $500 you'd like to drop on a new headset. All right. A few little game updates to talk about. So let's talk about Vampire Survivors. Had a patch. The great game. It was a pretty high-ranking game on the Dep Lewis Show 2022 Game of the Year list. But it has now received patch 1.4.200, and it came out on June 1st, 2023. There is now DLC new relics. There are new relics on the DLC maps, the map of the Mountain Moonspell and the map of the Lake Foscari. You now have the option to seal the Chaos, I believe it's called Malachite Relic. You have the option to easily reset your save data if you'd like to start over. I believe that's what that's for. There's been bug fixes, tweaks, and this, I guess, the last update, we got some updated numbers at the beginning of June for the Steam Deck and most played games, and Vampire Survivors is sitting at number 3. So it's still being played by a lot of people. Still a great game on many different consoles, and the Steam Deck seems like a perfect place for you to play this game. But you can play it on Xbox. Still can't play it on Switch. It's on Game Pass, so you know that. And I just kind of wanted to use this section to talk about Vampire Survivors again for a minute. In case you haven't purchased it, it's a really great game. It's very inexpensive, and you can have a lot of great hours with it. So just thought this would be another good time to bring it up. So go play Vampire Survivors if you have not yet. The base game is $1.99, so I highly recommend it for you and for your wallet. All right, the official Dep Lewis Show Video Game of the Year for 2022 was Splatoon 3. I want to let you know there's a new Sizzle season that's upon us. There's been 2 newly added battle stages, Barnacle and Dime and Humpback Pump Track. Pretty great names. 1 new Salmon Run stage, Jammin' Salmon Junction. There are 11 newly added weapon sets, including 2 new main weapons, the S-Blast 92 and the Paintbrush. There's a new challenge mode. There's a new seasonal catalog. There's new music, new and returning stuff in the shops. And this content is part of a free update. So go play the new Sizzle season in Splatoon 3. I haven't really heard about the new Splatfest yet, but the new season is a great thing, a great reason to go get into the game and start playing. Great time, a great jumping off point. If you're looking to get into Splatoon 3 or get back into Splatoon 3, I don't know if I have enough time in my real life and video game life schedule to fit in some Splatoon 3 right now, because I have too many other hot releases I'm playing, but I do love the Splatoon 3. I do see myself playing more of this in the future, and I love Splatoon. It's one of my favorite games probably ever at this point now, and I think you should go play it. So another opportunity to talk about that is always great, and that's what I'm using this for right now. Go play the new Splatoon 3 season that is upon us. Okay, let's just talk about one last thing. I was listening to Game Scoop on IGN this week talking about how great of a summer of video games this is. And, back in my day, being an older gamer, the summer a lot of times would be a drought for video games. You'd be waiting until Madden comes out in, September or August or whatever it is, and that would really kick off. Once Madden got released, and then you knew there were other games coming soon after. Maybe not right after, but the flow of games will start trickling in right after that Madden release. But that is not the case anymore. We get big-time games all throughout the year. The last 2 years have been a prime example of that. We got Elden Ring earlier in the year last year. This year we're getting Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And there are other games coming out over this summer that are, pretty comparable releases to Zelda, if not, on the same level or even more with some of these. But I don't know, Zelda's a pretty big franchise, but these other franchises are too. So they were talking about on GameScoop how we've gotten Zelda, we got Street Fighter 6 that came out June 2nd. We have Diablo 4 coming out, I think it's the 6th of June. We have Final Fantasy coming out in the middle of June. And then we also have the Summer Games Fest, which is live Thursdays, June 8th, 2023 at 3 p.m. Eastern. So you can watch this on YouTube and others. You get to see the first gameplay of Mortal Kombat 1. Remedy will show more from Alan Wake 2. This event will feature reveals from more than 40 companies. So, for this summer, right now, if you wanted to, at the end of this month, actually, you could be playing Zelda, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Diablo 4, Street Fighter 6, Final Fantasy 16, I believe is what it is. And then there's others. There's other games that have come out this year already, not just in this small time frame, but these are heavy hitter AAA games that are going to sell buku copies and are going to have been reviewing well. Final Fantasy is the only one there that hasn't really seen reviews drop yet, but Diablo 4 is reviewing well. Street Fighter 6 is reviewing insane. Zelda is obviously going to be Game of the Year for many people. And, just what a summer for video games. Shout out to 2023. Shout out to all the video game companies, all the video game makers, all the video game marketers, all the distributors and packagers, all those people, anybody involved with video games. Thank you so much for this great pastime and all this great quality entertainment and options. And if you're complaining about video games, maybe you don't like video games because they are epic and they are awesome. And this summer has been especially true. So I just wanted to highlight this summer. I thought GameScoop made a good point of that. Go listen to GameScoop Weekly. I believe it comes out on more towards the weekend normally is when it drops, and it's a great episode to listen to about some video game talk as well. So go listen to GameScoop. So just a random shout out there. All right, so that is going to wrap up the mid section. We've smoked all our mid. We are down to the end of our mid joint. We don't have a lighter anymore. We don't have any more rolling papers, so we're going to have to move on to the next section. So in the mid section, we talked about Marathon by Bungie. We talked about some history there. We talked about the MetaQuest VR3 announcement. We talked about a patch for Vampire Survivors, a new Sizzle season for Splatoon 3. And then we just talked about how great of a summer this is for video games. And that we have the Summer Games Fest coming up this week. If you're listening in real time on Sunday, June 4th, you can watch the Summer Games Fest stream live on Thursday, June 8th, 2023, 3 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be a great source of content for the Dep Lewis Show next week. So if you want to watch for yourself and then hear me talk about it, that would be a great thing to do as a plan for next week, because that is what I will be doing. You'll be hearing a lot about the Summer Games Fest in the midsection of next week's show. So that is going to wrap up the midsection for this week. So we are going to take another quick break. You're going to hear some wonderful music by a friend of the show, Volnus. And then we're going to come back for the Miscellaneous Talk section. And we're going to talk some comedy stuff. And then we're going to talk some sports as the main plan there. So go take a break, do whatever you need to do, and we will be right back for more of the Dep Lewis Show, episode 35, after this. Welcome back to the final section, the Miscellaneous Talk section of the Dep Lewis Show, episode 35. Thank you for returning to the show. We're going to talk some comedy stuff here at the top, and then we are going to get into the worldwide world of sports. So let's talk some comedy. One of my favorite comedians and podcasters is Tim Dillon, and he has a new book coming out, so I want to talk about the pre-order. It's continuing the tradition of comedians releasing books that I read and want to like, or that I like and want to read. Tom Segura released his book. I think it's called I'd Like to Play Alone, Please. There might be more to the title than that, but go read that. It's a very fun collection of stories from Tom Segura. And now Tim Dillon is providing us a new book to read. It's called Death by Boomers, How the Worst Generation Destroyed the Planet, But First a Child by Tim Dillon. The Kindle version is $14.99, and the hardcover is $30, available for pre-order right now. This will release on December 5th, 2023. So a Christmas miracle. We're getting the book from Tim Dillon. It is a hilarious... this is the back of the book talk. It's a hilarious autobiographical account of Tim Dillon's life, being raised by two Long Island boomers. Details the parenting style that made Tim a near-perfect person. This book will be enjoyed by anyone raised by a boomer. Take a trip down memory lane with Tim and his friends. There are 288 wonderful pages, And Tim Dillon he's great. He has the Tim Dillon Show every week, one of my favorite podcasts to watch or listen to. I like watching it mostly. So follow Tim Dillon Show and his Patreon as well. Tim Dillon's episode last week had Christina P. and Tom Segura on there, so that was an awesome episode. Look for Tim to be in a big movie coming out soon, is what he was saying in that episode. And then the most recent Tim Dillon Show came out last night, on Saturday night, and it was extra epic. It was a solo episode, Tim was talking about how he's remodeling his studio in Los Angeles, so I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. Said he got a new desk, said he got a new background. It's going to have a whole new vibe for the Tim Dillon Show in Los Angeles. He was recording this one at Gasdale Digital Studios in New York. I think it's in New York. Louis J. Gomez runs the Gas Digital Network, so he's recording there. That's where the Tim Dillon Show started. So go check out this book. Has a really cool cover. It should be a fun read. Go support Tim Dillon, and that's what I'll be doing as well. I'll be adding this to my want to read section on Goodreads, and I'll be rating it accordingly after reading it. So I'll be looking forward to this come December 5th, 2023, and you should too. So shout out to Tim Dillon. Love that guy. All right, some more comedian stuff. Another comedian I like and podcaster, Jeremiah Watkins. He has a crowd work documentary called The Last Riff, which is a play on The Last Dance. He's wearing a jersey on the cover of this photo for this crowd work documentary. So it's called The Last Riff. It releases Tuesday, June 6, 2023 at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And this will be on Jeremiah's YouTube channel. So go watch that, and I will be too. And I'll probably be talking about that a little bit next week after watching it. Seems like there's a lot going on next week, so that's pretty exciting. So go support Jeremiah Watkins. Go support his podcast. Go watch his old Killed Tony episodes. He has a YouTube special called Daddy. Go watch that and go support that. Jeremiah Watkins is very funny. He does a lot of good voices and character-y stuff. And he's just a cool guy, and I like watching him. He's very, very entertaining. So go check out Jeremiah. All right, so let's get into the worldwide world of sports. The official NFL team of the Dep Lewis Show, the Carolina Panthers. Not much to talk about this week with the Panthers. Not too many updates. We've been seeing a lot of practice footage, and Panthers getting ready for the season. So my hype level for Bryce Young continues to go up. I am loving seeing his passes on the internet. You can watch a lot of highlights on Twitter of him throwing the receivers and hitting them on the money and just looking extra good out there. Brian Burns, I think the Panthers should extend him. I say that every week. Make him the highest paid edge rusher in the league. Give Brian Burns that big bag of money and let him stay with the Panthers for a long time. Laviska Shenault, they talked about him. I'm excited to see how they're going to utilize him this year. I believe it was Frank Reich is saying that they anticipate using him more like Deebo Samuel. So I'll be excited to see that. Laviska is a big dude. He's crazy when he gets ahead of steam. It's really, really tough to tackle, and you would be scared to tackle him too. So I think that's interesting and exciting. I think getting him come out of the backfield some can be pretty cool. We basically just need to get the ball in his hands. They sometimes like to run a screen for him or like to end around just to get the ball in his hands. So I think having him come out of the backfield could be helpful too, along with throwing him in our wide receiver mix as well. So, Laviska Shenault could be a nice little X factor for the Panthers this year. If he's anywhere close to playing like Deebo Samuel, I will take it. And then so just some more Panthers talk. Shaq Thompson had an interview. He said he was talking about his reasons for staying in Carolina. He said the linebacker market was down a little bit, not getting paid the big money. So that was an incentive to stay with the Panthers and play with his guys. He said he wanted to, continue trying to build and win a Super Bowl with the Panthers and, his friends and stuff in the locker room. So go Shaq. Pretty great. I don't know if that's him saying, there wasn't money elsewhere, so he decided to stay here. But it sounds like there was a little bit of pros and cons there. Maybe he could have made a little more money elsewhere, but he decided to. He liked where he was and liked the people he's around. So maybe that is a very wholesome thing that happened. But shout out to Shaq either way for playing on the team for another year. I really appreciate it. He's one of my favorite Panthers, and I think he's a very important cog in their machine. So shout out to Shaq Thompson. I really appreciate you. Possibly taking a hometown discount there for the Panthers. So way to go. All right, so talking to some more Charlotte sports. I went and watched the Charlotte Knights, the AAA affiliate of the Chicago White Sox. I saw them play the Nashville Sound, and this was a very fun game. It's a really, really nice stadium. It was country night when I was there, so that was kind of funny. I didn't stay the whole game, but I had some discounted They had discounted beers. You can have a $6 craft beer or a $4 domestic. I had some hot dogs. I had some nachos. Had a great old night at the ballpark. Sat next to some nice, friendly guys in the row I was in, so that was kind of cool too. I had a great seat. I think kind of any seat in that ballpark would be pretty great, so I'll take that into account for next time. I might just buy the cheapest ticket I can find and sit around or roam around. But, the stadium was pretty full. But apparently the night after that, so I went Thursday, and then Friday night they had a sellout at the stadium, so it was over 10,000 people there. I believe it was a complete sellout, and pretty cool. I'm be excited to go to some more of these games. I saw some major leaguers in there playing, so that was pretty cool. A little bit some older guys around the league, but they're still in there, and you could really tell that they've had a lot of major league at bats. They would come up and do their thing pretty easily. So it was fun to watch, and pretty good level of baseball. The stadium was nice. The night was nice. Tickets were affordable. They had a theme going on. They had a lot of entertainment stuff between the innings. Like, they're doing it right over there at the Charlotte Knights. So I just want to shout them out, and you might see me at the game again. When I got there, one of my favorite things about going to a new sporting event is buying a hat. So I bought a hat in their team store. And, out of all the hats they had in there, I ended up picking a Chicago White Sox hat. I didn't really realize that till after I left. But, I'm still repping for the Charlotte Knights. But I picked the one, I picked a fitted hat that says Shy on the front of it. But there was one that was kind of like an old school Chicago White Sox hat. And they wear them sometimes for the AAA, for the Knights sometimes wear these alternate jerseys that say CLT on them instead of CHI. I maybe would have bought one of those, but they didn't have my size. But maybe I'll cop one again. I love going to cop a hat. It's one of my favorite things to do. So Charlotte Knights was a great time. Go spend a night with the Knights and watch some baseball. Best sport in the world. And then that's going to transition us into the best team in the world, the official team of the Dep Lewis Show, the official sport of the Dep Lewis Show, and that is the Atlanta Braves and the Major League Baseball. My question from last week was, did the Braves win Sunday versus the Phillies? And yes, they won 11-4. So anytime you can beat the Phillies, that is a great accomplishment. And so then this week, the Braves have had the A's and they've had the Diamondbacks. The Braves dropped the first 2 of the 3 versus the A's, which was very lame. But we did get to see Mike Soroka come back Monday night, and it was nice to see Mike back. He had a pretty successful start. He looked good out there. It was nice to see him back. You could see some juice. And I think it was a very solid first outing. So I'll be excited to see Mike on the mound some more again this year. And hopefully he can just stick in our starting rotation and, ball out. That's the main hope. So the Braves have split so far with the Diamondbacks this week on Friday and Saturday. The Braves won last night, so they won Saturday. It was a late game. It started like at 10:10 last night, so I didn't catch much of that. And then the Braves play the Diamondbacks again today, if you're listening in real time, Sunday, June 4th at 4:10 Eastern Standard Time. So a late afternoon game for the Braves today. Hopefully we can close it up against the Diamondbacks. And then next week, I believe the Braves have all division games. I think it's the Nats and the Mets. I could be wrong about that, but I will definitely be talking about that next week. I'll hopefully be talking about Ronald Acuna Jr. going off still. He's been hitting bombs. He's been stealing bases. He has been the best player in baseball. He is the MVP. He's the MVP of my baseball heart. And Ronald Acuna Jr., you are the best. So thank you for being on the Braves. Thank you for being healthy. Thank you for balling out. And thank you for being my favorite player on the planet, Ronald Acuna Jr. Go check him out for yourself. Don't believe him, just watch. All right. Don't believe me, just watch him. So go Braves, best team in the universe. Be excited to watch that game against the Diamondbacks today. The Diamondbacks are actually pretty good. I've got my boy Ketel Marte on there. I really like him. And I have one of their pitchers in fantasy, Merrill Kelly. And they're pretty nice. Pretty good job for them being pretty good. It was surprising when I looked up their record, because I knew one of my friends was going to be trashing me that the Braves were losing to the Diamondbacks. And I actually looked up their record and was like, damn, they're actually doing really good this season. And even my friend came back and said the same thing. He's like, wow, I didn't realize they were doing so good. So I think that kept his trolling at bay. So yeah, that's what you get for doing some research there. It can help you out sometimes. So go Braves, go Panthers, go Charlotte Knights, and go comedy. Those are the main highlights from this miscellaneous talk section today. So just to reiterate, you can go pre-order Tim Dillon's new book, Death by Boomers, How the Worst Generation Destroyed the Planet But First a Child, by Tim Dillon, $14.99 for the Kindle version, $30 for a hardcover. And it releases on December 5th, 2023. Jeremiah Watkins has a new crowdwork documentary called The Last Riff. It releases June 6, 2023 at 4 p.m. Pacific Time on Jeremiah Watkins' YouTube channel. We talked about the Carolina Panthers. We talked about the Charlotte Knights, my first experience going to one of those games. Then we talked about the best team in the University, Atlanta Braves. Hopefully we'll be getting a win against the Diamondbacks today. And then go into next week feeling strong, feeling good, feeling great. So that is going to wrap up the Dep Lewis Show for today, the episode 35. I want to thank you for listening to this show as always. I hope you will have a great week in the upcoming week until we talk again. If you have anything you want to say to me, reach out to me on any of the socials. Email DepLewisShow@gmail.com for any questions or feedback. Other things you can do to help the show, follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review. Turn on notifications, tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell a dog, tell a squirrel, tell anyone. Email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com, DepLewisShow@gmail.com. Open 24/7, 365, so come on and slide. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Patreon, and more on my Buzzsprout page. Clips of the show are on YouTube and TikTok, and just thank you for being a listener to the show every week. Thank you for listening and watching any of the Dep Lewis Show content. You are the greatest listener in the world, and just thank you for listening to the show about video games, sports, comedy, and more, and really appreciate it. We're going to be back next week for episode 36, and I guarantee it's going to be a great one. So come back for some more sports talk, some more Zelda talk, some more Street Fighter talk next week, some more video game news, and just all the great things that the Dep Lewis Show likes to highlight on this show. So thank you for being a listener, and I'll see you next week. That's all I gotta say. Episode 35, we're out of here. See you next week. Bye.